Nakuru couple had prepared for their dream wedding. Everything, however, came tumbling down when their pastor allegedly made a series of demands on wedding day, eventually calling off the ceremony Saturday evening. Let's take a look.
Joyce Waithera and her fiancé Paul Waithaka had arrived at the Mispa House of Prayer Church in good time, ready to walk down the aisle and recite their wedding vows. Friends and family members had gathered early in what was expected to be a glamorous wedding in Bahati area in Nakuru County. But upon arrival, the couple was summoned by the head of the church, Apostle Jesse Karanja, to his office, where he instructed them to go for a medical test and return with their results. Never mind that this was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, after the two expected to have tied the knot. The couple would go for a further 2 tests upon his instructions.
Remember, me as an apostolic leader, I have to answer to God about your life. Remember, as an apostolic leader, I have an authority to tell you, you must go this way.
Naambia warudie medical zaidi ya mara 3. Tunashangaa pastor amekuwa daktari tena.
The third test, which was allegedly done at a clinic of the pastor's choice, showed different results.
Kama wazazi wote wawili walikuwa, unaweza sema aje ati familia hazikuwa ni pastor. Nafikiria huyo pastor wengine yako na mambo yake hide.
Hata saa hii tutarudi Nairobi bila kujua mwenye kushikanisha alikuwa nani.
At 6 p.m. the family claims the pastor said he would not officiate the ceremony. The pastor telling the shocked family that the Lord does not allow weddings to be conducted past 6 p.m.
Tukikuja hata tumewacha hiyo gari ya msichana imesimama pale kwa gate. Hata anashindwa aingie reception kufanya nini. Niliona mama ya msichana hata amelia sana.
And today, speaking while delivering his sermon, Apostle Karanja gave his defense.
Church and ministry ordinances are not out for discussion, either in the media or out of the media. It's either Christian, you follow God's way, or you are out. No discussion.
Ameumiza roho zao watoto kabisa.
Despite spending close to 1 million shillings for the ceremony that did not go as planned, the couple says it will still go on with their plans and marry at a later date.
Going to heaven, going to hell, no discussion. You either go to hell or you go to heaven. So the same thing happens to the church.
Nimro Tabu, Citizen TV.
Your mic is on. What are you saying? You're saying something?
This is absolute ridiculousness. I am a farm church person, and I sit on a church board. And we have such requirements of couples. But there's something we call premarital counseling. You've got about up to 1 year prior to your wedding, where you start doing this premarital counseling. People go for these tests, they go for counseling. Even if there's something that needs to be hashed out, maybe it's you have a child, you have history, that's when you do these things. By the morning of the wedding, because before you officiate a wedding, you've given the couple your license. They've taken it to Nyayo house, to Sharia house. They have seen that you are duly licensed. As in, there's a process between even the pastor and the couple before the wedding day to interact. Why did he wait until the morning of the wedding to pull this stunt? I am a very strong church person, and I agree with him. The things of God must stay straight according to God. But at the same time, you're dealing with God's people. How do you handle God's people in such a callous manner? What message are you passing to them? If you had a problem with them, even the day before the wedding, you should have called them and told them, you know what, I don't think this is going to happen. Yes. So on the morning of, they know that this is not going to happen. Because at the end of the day, you are God's servant, but they're still God's people. They're not your people. And when I heard him talking about he has to account to God for, my Bible tells me, everybody will stand before the judgment seat and he give an account for his life. The pastor won't be asked, how did Joy and Stephen live in the house? No, that's not his purview. I think he may have, his heart may have been in the right place, but how he went about it was wrong. And even me as a church person looking in, I'm thinking there's some hurt that has been caused, that it's not just the money. If I was the bride and the family, this is an embarrassment. Even if you do get married eventually, and then something happens in your wedding, in your marriage, you'll be thinking the omen was there from the get-go. So in this particular situation, maybe I don't know enough about it to comment, but putting myself in the couple's shoes, this is a tough one. And I hope the fellowship will be able to rally around the couple, and so they don't lose their faith as a result of this. This is a hard one. It's a tough one for me.
What do you think, Senator Beatrice Elach?
Well, for me, it's very unfortunate. First of all, I don't know how long the couple have been in this church. If they are regular members of this church, then I think the pastor went beyond. You cannot judge. You cannot judge on HIV/AIDS.
Right.
And if both of them are positive, then the better. Because you are not God. And if God can forgive, you, pastor, cannot forgive. And why should you wait until they have spent all the money? Everything. Everything is on the ground. Is when you realize there's an issue, then you are a wrong pastor at that time. Absolutely wrong. Because what you needed to do, as Joyce says, within the time you're counseling us for our marriage, there are days you have given us to ensure that we have to go through this. If we find an issue, we don't even need to come to the public. You just need to tell us, look, I will leave you to enjoying your marriage, but I will not be the one officiating.
Right.
Because I feel that in my values of church and what I believe in, I wouldn't be the right person. But I have given you the opportunity, I have blessed you, go and look for a pastor who can do this. That would have been the best of this pastor, because who are you to judge? And we are very judgmental as a country. I don't know why. Yet the Bible says do not judge. You don't know. I don't know how you got married. Well, will pastor tell me he got married? He was indeed, he ensured. He took care of himself.
But what can they do legally?
Like I said, with the new marriage laws, before you officiate or you do a wedding, there's a process you walk through. One of the things that they require you to do is you have to bring the license from your pastor to Sharia House to show that he's a licensed minister. And then he's the one who's going to, he gives even a copy of the certificate that you're going to sign. You take it to Sharia House prior to the wedding. So that means at least 3 weeks before the wedding, the pastor knows he's the one expected to officiate the wedding. Under the new rules, again, you cannot get a stand-in on the day of the wedding.
Yeah.
If you are committed to that this is the pastor doing our wedding, then this is the one who has to do the wedding. If for some reason he cannot do it, you are supposed to go back to Sharia House, indicate that this one cannot do it. So you either get a registrar from Sharia House to come and do your wedding, or you do the ceremony, and then you'll go and do the signing of the certificate before the same pastor or before the substitute pastor separately.
Okay.
That's how the procedure is now. So given that background, it means that the pastor was not ambushed by this wedding. He knew that it was coming, and he had given his certificate to them to take back to Sharia House. He was engaged in the planning process. So to your question, do they have legal recourse? In my opinion, I think so. Because if there was a problem, he had ample opportunity before the day of the wedding to indicate either his inability or his unwillingness to carry on with the marriage, with the wedding ceremony. The fact that he waited for the morning of the wedding, he has caused them untold distress. He has caused them a lot of damage in terms of social reputation, and he has cost them money. And in my professional opinion, they actually have a very strong case against him, and I would encourage them to go ahead and sue him. Now, this is as a lawyer, not as a person of the church.
No, but I think she has just said, my questions, or some of my concerns to pastor is whether he understands the new law today. Because I was just to say the same, that indeed before the wedding, you're supposed to have gotten everything from the church and taken it to Sharia House, so that together Sharia House and the church are in tandem, that this is happening today and this is how the wedding will be. So if Sharia House already knows this is a couple, because it's just formalizing now through the church. But here, by law, you know, they had finished, formalized. At Sharia House, they are a couple. They know that this is a couple that it was just going to formalize their wedding in church. But as government, we know they are a man and wife. So for me, the pastor has to go also and read the law and read this new matrimonial law properly to understand how weddings are being done today in our country. Because what we've had, why the law came in, was the conflicts that we used to have. You've done a wedding church, and here somebody is running away from his obligations, and that is why we patch you together with the government and your church, so that if anything happens, you'll have to go through the same process.
Right. That
we have an issue, we want to divorce. Here, the church knows, and here, where you started, they know. So for me, Pastor, I don't want to say you are biased, but you are very biased. That, I mean, it was you didn't even care the psychological torture for these two.